Is Etsy even worth it in 2025? What I'm going to share with you today kind of stinks, and I thought about not making this video because these weren't the numbers I wanted to share with you. But I'm going to be brutally honest with you today. I'm going to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So first, let's be real. A lot of people do not take massive action when it comes to building their print-on-demand Etsy shops because we know it takes many listings to be posted before we can expect to really see some serious profits. And that means there's a huge requirement of our time. And if you're anything like me, when I first got started with my Etsy shop, I was incredibly concerned that I would be wasting my time. Who wants to waste dozens of hours a week, which is exactly what I was spending on my Etsy shop, for numerous months just to realize it was a waste of time and you failed and it was a flop? Because we've certainly got better things to do. I mean, I could be taking my dog Tucker for a walk outside in the beautiful sunshine instead of sitting at the kitchen table. I could be spending the day at the sandbar with my best friend soaking up the salt water instead of inside listing like a maniac. Or I could be out enjoying a wonderful meal with amazing conversation with my friends instead of sitting on the couch making designs. So the question is Etsy worth it in 2025? I'm going to let you be the judge of that. In this video, we're going to go on a journey through the Januaries of my Etsy shop. We're going to start with January of 2021, which I would have been about 4 months into my Etsy journey at that time. And we're going to look at every January since then. I'm filming this in February. So of course, we just completed our January of 2025, and it might not have turned out for me the way you might have expected. Hi there, I'm simply Shawna, and if you're a regular here on No Friend Left Behind, or if you like to catch me over on my other channel, Simply Shawna, you have an idea about my Etsy journey, and you know I'm pretty passionate about Etsy. So you might be kind of scratching your head right now like, man, she sounds kind of bummed out. Okay, so let's jump in and I'll walk you through this. Let's take a look here at this screenshot I pulled from January of 2021. You could see here that I had 26 orders that month. Again, this was my 4th month on Etsy. I was selling mostly aunt, grandma, and Jeep girl things. Do not go out and make Jeep girl things. I had to remove all of those things from my shop because that would be protected under copyright. That belongs to Jeep, and we can't make anything that says Jeep. You can't even have something on your shirt without any SEO, your title and your tags or your SEO, and it's how people find you. Even if you don't have the word Jeep in your SEO, you are still eventually going to get in trouble if you have a Jeep on your shirt, whether it says the word Jeep or it's a graphic of a Jeep, even if it's just, literally on one of my shirts, it was just 2 circles that I had created from periods in a font, and I did like a lowercase L for the lines to make the Jeep grill. I got in trouble for that too. So that's all the property of Jeep. Okay, so 4 months in, and this is where I'm at with my sales. I have 26 orders, and I have a revenue of $487.32. From that, the profit I would have been able to keep would have been right around $100. At this time in my shop, I probably have something to the tune of 200 to 300 listings. Some of those orders were my mom because I made grandma things and she came in and bought all my grandma stuff. I was also selling to customers organically in the grandma niche, the aunt niche, and as I said, in the Jeep girl niche. And just a quick side note for you before we jump to January of 2022, I know it doesn't sound like a lot that I made $100 profit my 4th month into Etsy. I was putting dozens of hours of work in every single week, and I was producing probably anywhere between 20 and 40 listings every single week. And so obviously that was a ton of work to only make $100. However, the way Etsy works is that there's a learning curve, and you just have to put the elbow grease in before you learn how to make things that people actually want to buy. I have a whole series about how to make things people actually want to buy because I felt that this was the hardest part of my journey And it's been the most rewarding part of my journey as I've figured it out. I'm a former fourth grade school teacher, and because I like to teach, I decided to make a whole series about that since I'm passionate about it here on YouTube. I'll leave a link to that playlist right here up in the corner. So the profit for my first calendar year, so my shop was only about 3 months old as I went into my first calendar year. And that first calendar year, so those 12 months from January to December, even though I only made $100 profit in January, take a guess. What do you think I would have made for the entire year? Drum roll, please. I did pull off $30,000 profit in that first calendar year on Etsy at the listing rate that I was going at and at the effort rate that I was putting in to learn how to make designs people actually wanted to buy. Again, I could accelerate that for you if you want to watch that playlist that I'll leave linked up here, and I'll leave it linked down in the description too. Now, if you're already pulling out your calculator, because this is exactly what I'd be doing, I'd be taking $30,000, subtracting 100, taking that $30,000 and dividing it by the other 11 months and getting an idea of, oh, she must have made this much per month. Almost all of that profit was made the last 6 months of the year because it took me that much time to get good at making designs and also just to get my shop stocked with enough listings to create the opportunity for sales velocity like that to even happen. And while I say that the majority of that was made the last 6 months, because that's how long it took to have my first $1,000 profit month, really the majority, big majority of it was made in the month of September, August, September, and in the month of November. Those months were my biggest months and comprised the majority of those profits. And that's because of the niches that I was working in and building out. One of those niches is the teacher niche. I do have a teacher calendar and resource. If you're interested in it, I'll leave it linked down below. I also have a general niche calendar and resource that just lets you know when you should be listing, when you should start listing, when you should have it listed by. So if you want to do well in the teacher niche this summer, that might be a resource you would think about picking up. Sorry, I've got a cough that wants to happen right now. And then, so the general niche calendar and resource has a video resource that comes with that. The teacher niche and calendar resource, I'm in the middle of making a video resource that goes with that. And as soon as it's done, you'll get emailed with that updated video link. Okay, we're going to jump over to 2022, but I just really felt like it was worth putting in context for you how that year panned out, because if you're new and you're anything like me and like I was when I started my journey, I was just so thirsty to hear about people that had gotten themselves successful, which I have done. I quit my fourth grade teaching job and I went full time with my Etsy shop, but I was always so curious about how much effort did it take them, how many listings did it take them, and what was their rate of growth. I did get around 2,000 listings up within the first year. So by October, I had about 2,000 listings up, and I probably got another maybe 300 up by the end of the year, closing out 2021. So maybe I had like 2,300 listings, something like that. Okay, so let's jump in now, fast forwarding to January of 2022. You know that January of 2021, I made $100 profit. Well, January of 2022, I had 206 orders that month, and I had a revenue of $9,272.79. Revenue isn't what you get to keep. What I got to keep, my profit from that was right around $2,940. So just shy of $3,000. So I really went a long way from January of 2021 to January of 2022. I can tell you that I never dropped the ball during that year with my listing schedule. There might have been a week or two where I had fewer listings, but I listed every single week. I never had a week where I only listed 5 or 6 things either. It was it was something that I was absolutely anal about. I was very, very serious about growing my Etsy business. And so I it was absolutely at the top of my list. It must be done. If that meant I had to skip dinner with friends because the listings were not that week, then dinner was getting skipped. If I had to not be out on the weekend at the sandbar, then the sandbar, it wasn't happening. And that was exactly how things went down that year. I really spent a lot of time inside my house that year, and I really just listed like a crazy person, and I didn't do a lot of extracurricular things because this was so incredibly important to me. So as a result, I wound up making that year around $107,000 profit. And during that year, I decided that it would be a good time to quit my teaching job and go full-time into creating listings for my Etsy shop, because my God, if I could do that part-time on Etsy, what on earth could I do if I spent full-time energy on this shop? Okay, so that was 2022. Let's scoot on over to January of 2023. Now, keep in mind, I am full-time Etsy at this point. And I've been full-time Etsy for a couple of months prior to January of 2023, which means I was able to prepare like a pro for 2023. I was listing consistently in 2022 during the months of November, during the months of December. I hadn't started YouTube yet, so I really had time to fulfill all my orders, and it was really the only job that I had was my Etsy shop. So all of the time that I put into my teaching career was now being funneled to my Etsy shop. Plus, I didn't slow down. I didn't clock out at 3 o'clock to go do something else. I continued to work on my Etsy shop right into the evening hours, oftentimes late into the night, because I was still hungry to grow my Etsy shop. So when we look at 2023, keep in mind, this whole stage has been set for me to do really well since I am full-time and listing like crazy and super committed. My orders in 2023 in my Etsy shop were 614 orders the month of January. The revenue was $32,683. Just insane. From that, I got to keep as my profit, because that's probably the number you're most curious about, is $6,704. That is amazing. And by the way, guys, that January and February are always my smallest months. So for 2023, just know that every month thereafter, after January and February, all of my months are, most of them are much higher than $6,704, right? And so, of course, we know that I was very, very, very diligent in continuing to list all through 2022. And that is why I started out 2023 with such awesome numbers. I continued to list very consistently during the year of 2023. I had just started my YouTube channel, but I had made a series on purpose to hold myself accountable, because I was worried that as I started a YouTube channel that I would let my Etsy shop not be as important or not give it as much time. So I started a series of videos where I went over my numbers every single month. I have it as a playlist on my channel over at Simply Shawna. You're watching the channel No Friend Left Behind. That's a channel I work on with my besties that all have Etsy shops. But I will leave the playlist over on my Simply Shawna channel with that story of 2023 and the growth that I had that year. I'll leave it linked right up here, and I'll leave it linked down below if you like these number types of videos and you want to watch that. For the entire year, again, remember, I never dropped the ball. I listed very diligently. Part of that was because I was going to make sure that each month I came back to do a new video for YouTube, that I was able to tell everybody, yes, I continued to list. And it was my goal was to make 170 listings. I like to A/B test. So if you'd like me to make a video about what A/B testing is, let me know down in the comments. But essentially, I list everything twice, and I test something, like I send them both out, one at profit pricing and one at break-even pricing. So much cheaper pricing strategy. And if it starts selling, then I pop it up. But I like to test things like this. So really I had maybe 70 or 80 designs go out, but I double listed all of them. So when I say 170 listings, it's really like maybe 80 designs. Okay, and so my profit for 2023 was $162,000. I was trying to go for $200,000 profit. So I was a little bit shy of that, but I wasn't complaining. I gave myself literally as a school teacher, I made $51,000 a year after 18 years of teaching and 4 years of going to college and having college debt to pay after I got out. I started an Etsy shop and within a year was making almost my teacher salary. And then right here in 2023, I went from $107,000 profit to $162,000 profit. I gave my entire teaching salary to myself as a raise that 1 year. Absolutely incredible. Now, if I can do that, I can swear to you that you could do that too. I am not special. I did not have any background in business or in design. Nada, nothing. I really couldn't have been further from a person that you would think would be an entrepreneur, someone that you would think could scale a business. I couldn't have been further from that. All it took one day is me watching a video kind of like this one to spark my interest and then my taking massive action. And I did that like really fast because I was really desperate to like create a different future for myself in terms of pay. And the video I watched struck something in me emotionally, made me feel like I could do it. And so I just started and I just did it. So I hope that this video does that for you and that you feel like you can do this if you've been thinking about it. Or if this is the first video you've ever seen about this type of topic, start digging into this and just know that the girl on the screen that's talking to you, later when you think of this video, just know that that girl told you, hey, you could do this too. Because if I can do it and I'm a regular girl, you could do it also. Okay, let's go to 2024. And you might be wondering like, ooh, if she made $162,000, she must be at like $202,000 or something like this for 2024. I'm about to disappoint you. All right, so in January of 2024, I had 26 orders and my revenue was $27,330, which is a little bit less. I had over $32,000 the year prior, so I did not grow. And that profit came to $5,073. So I made $6,700 in 2023, down to closer like $5,000 in 2024 for the month of January. So I took like a $1,700 cut in profit from 1 year to the next. But every other year was like this great growth. So what happened? Is Etsy still worth it? And don't worry, I'm still going to get to what happened in 2025, but you might be looking at this thinking, oh no, Etsy might be going downhill, right? Okay, so in 2023, remember I told you I started YouTube and I was really good about keeping up with my Etsy listings, keeping up with my orders, and I was making YouTube videos. So this was diverting some of my time. And what wound up happening during the months of October, November, and December, these are the biggest times you can sell on e-commerce because people are buying themselves. I sell shirts. People are buying themselves Christmas shirts. And people are also buying tons of gifts. So if you prepare your shop with that in mind and wanting to get in on those kind of sales, you can make a lot of money during what we call Q4, which is October, November, and December. And whoo, boy, did I make a lot of money during Q4, October, November, December. I don't remember off the top of my head what it was, but go check out that link that I mentioned earlier about the numbers that year, the monthly numbers. Again, I'll leave it linked here and I'll leave it linked down below because I went through all of the numbers there. So if you're wondering, is it possible to make $20,000 or $30,000 profit in 1 month? Is that even possible? Go check out that series. But as a result of all of these sales And a good number of my items, you can give me a custom phrase or a custom word that you want me to put on your shirt. So that's time consuming. So, I mean, one day I think I had like 178 orders or something like this. I'm also in a lot of group niches. So some of those orders, like 170 orders, I might have sold like 500 shirts that day, something like that, right? So this was a lot of fulfilling orders. Like, I had to sit at the computer and I had to fulfill orders. I also sync as I go, which means sometimes if it's a new listing and it's never been synced before, I have to go in and I have to attach the art to that size t-shirt. Every time it gets ordered in the future, it'll be synced now. But the first time that it's getting purchased, I'm having to sync it. And so I've got a lot of new things getting purchased too. Hey, I'm not complaining. Go look at this series. You're going to see why I'm not complaining. I made lots of money during that Q4. So I don't regret it at all. Don't feel bad for me one little bit that I had to sit there and put lots of orders together. But let's think about what that did. That means I didn't have time to make new listings. I was barely surviving, just getting the orders out and trying to keep up with my YouTube videos. And I did miss, my goal was to make 2 videos every single week at that time. And I dropped the ball. I don't know if I even made any YouTube videos during the month of December itself. So I pretty much made no listings in my Etsy shop either. October, I may have still been making some listings. November, December, nada. I was not making listings. I was just barely keeping up. And so as a result, coming into January, I had not fed or added to any of the niches that make me money during January and February. If you've been at this for a little while, you should be feeding the algorithm every month that we're coming up to. You should be looking in advance. Like right now, when I'm filming this, it's February. So I'm really kind of looking out to April and thinking, okay, what was I selling last year in April? I want that to get going again. I need to breathe some air on that and get that, fan those flames again. So I always need to be doing that. Well, I didn't do that for January and February that year. And so it was a pretty big drop. I still sold a good number of things that I had created from the year before. As you saw, I still made $5,000 profit, but I really didn't add anything new to my shop. That means all of the stuff that I've made now at this point is a little bit old. Not that it can't still sell, but all the other people that are making new things in the niches that I like to sell in, well, they're making new things with the new trends that are popping up and the new things that are popular. And so they're going to be able to grab a lot of those sales because they've got trendier, newer designs than I do. Okay, so now moving through the year of 2024, I did make some specific decisions about my priorities. Now, up until this point, you know that I've listed very, very regularly, with the exception of the October, November, and December leading up to 2024. And we see how that affected me, right? Well, in the year of 2024, I was really taking my YouTube channel also very seriously, and I started a membership. I started the membership in July, but you can't just open a membership and invite people in. You need to have content in there. You need to make that membership valuable, and you want people when they come into your membership to be so pleased with all of the things that you put in there and to be so helped. So I was thinking a lot about that. I was researching that. I was creating content for my membership. And so for months leading up to the membership, January through June, I was spending a lot of time on the membership, keeping up with my YouTube videos and spending a lot of time on the membership and listing a lot less, like a lot less. Like some weeks I would just not list at all. And then another week I would list some. So if that sounds like your listing schedule, you're going to have a hard time like scaling your shop because you can see how this is affecting me, right? This like haphazard listing. So I really wasn't prioritizing my Etsy shop to be something that I was really putting in, a serious amount of effort or time into. Now, after the membership got launched in July of 2024, I was able to kind of like maybe by August, early September, maybe late, I was probably like late August, I was kind of getting my rhythm in the membership and feeling pretty good about the content I had in there and the momentum we were getting in there and the interactions we were having in there. And so I was like feeling a little bit better and feeling like, okay, I can now focus some of my attention back on Etsy. And I really got serious about listing again, super consistently in my shop every single week, a good number of listings going through. And so I was able to have a pretty decent Q4 once again in my Etsy shop. And as a result, I made right around $125,000 profit in my Etsy shop. Now, that's a big decrease from $162,000, but the former Shawna, the fourth grade teacher Shawna that was making $51,000 a year, would be super psyched to even just hear that it was $125,000. Not to mention, simultaneously, I was building something else that was also a revenue stream for me, being YouTube, which is a little bit of revenue, but the membership, which is a nicer amount. So in the end, what I was making with the membership and what I was making with my Etsy shop, it kind of equaled out, and so it was okay. So it kind of was even Steven, and now I've created this new revenue stream. So I was okay with that. But if you're wondering how my priorities and my listing schedule impacted my growth, well, there it is. That's how it impacted it. I made about $40,000 less in 2024. Okay, now we're moving into 2025, and you're probably wondering, how did it pan out in 2025? In 2025, last month, I had 244 orders. My revenue was $15,592. And from that, my profit was $3,221.99. Yeah. Okay, so this is what happened. So you see there's another big drop from $5,000 last January to $3,221. So it's like an $1,800 drop once again. So that's pretty sad. You might be wondering, like, man, but she said she was like listing and she was doing really good. Right, I was. For Q4, I did Christmassy types of designs. I did the stuff that sells well for me in Q4. But once again, once January hit, I was listing really, really, really good until Black Friday, which is the last day I suggest going hard with your Christmas things. And I go hard all the way till Black Friday for my Christmas types of designs. At that time, I was once again having a lot of customer service and orders coming through. Now, since starting the membership, I hired my friend Vanessa. Shout out to my friend Vanessa, who's made like Etsy even still possible for me to juggle these different things. She does most of the orders for me. But I'm incredibly disorganized. My files are all over the place. So sometimes she'll have to reach out and say, Shawna, this design just sold. I don't know where it is. I got to track it down. She's gotten really good about like finding where my weird places that I hide things. She does all the custom stuff for me. She does most of the syncing. And I'm still doing a lot of the customer service. She'll tag team it with me a little bit there too. So I kind of got caught up with that piece in November and December. I wanted, after a couple of years of going really hard and growing these businesses, I also just really wanted to enjoy my time. And so I gave myself a little more time off. And of course, there was quite a buzz in the membership with Q4. And so I really wanted to be 100% there with the membership. And you know what? If you're enjoying this video, you might be the kind of person that would really like the membership also. I will leave a link to that down in the description below also. Really the angle on the membership, it's not like a course where you come in and it's like, okay, watch this video and I'm gonna show you how to open your shop. That's easily, if I ever do create a course, I will add that video in, right? But that's very easily found on YouTube. You can very easily find on YouTube, how do I open my Etsy shop and connect it with a print-on-demand company? You can find a tutorial in that. Super easy. That's what I did when I first started mine. What's so much harder is understanding how to make a trendy design that doesn't look like everybody else's design. This is what was such a struggle for me. And so this is really where I think my membership shines. This is really what I enjoy teaching, what I enjoy brainstorming with everybody about. So that's really what you'll find in my membership. We do lives, weekly lives. I do guided activities that are all to the purpose of helping you add value to the market. You also get a monthly trend report and so so many other things. Okay, so I'll leave that linked down below. Okay, but getting back to our January growth from 1 month to the next. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I wasn't disappointed with my January numbers since they're in a decline. And I do realize people watching this video, because I know the Shawna that first started Etsy would be watching this video. She'd be super excited, like, oh, that's what's possible. But that Shawna would be just like, oh, $3,000 profit? I'll take that. Like, oh my gosh, just give me that. I had to work so hard for this, though. This is a lot of work coming that got me here. Now, keep in mind that the reason January's numbers are so low is now 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row, I didn't add listings to my shop during the months of November and December. So 2 years in a row, I haven't added new listings to my shop that do the kinds of listings that I sell or that are good niches to sell in during the months of January and February. So of course, my shop isn't selling as much. Now, on January 3rd, I decided to do a new series, this series right here, the one we're doing right now, to let you know how things are going month to month, to try to get myself back like really, really diligent with my Etsy listings. Because if you're willing to tell people about it, I mean, how more, I'm doing it on YouTube. That's a little bit over the top with accountability, but maybe you have a friend that you can, ask to check in with you about this and hold you accountable to this. Just talking about it helps you be accountable. You can go down into the video. Actually, yes, let's do that. Every month, I'm going to do a video like this, letting you know what I accomplished, what I did, and what the numbers wound up being. So why not? First of all, if you're liking this video, you're still around, you must be liking it. So I earned it. Go down and just hit the little thumbs up so that I know you're enjoying this series. And then subscribe if you're not a subscriber here, because every month you should come back and watch this video. Go down into the comments every month and let's hold each other accountable. Let's say, hey, this is what I did this month. This is where I'm at. Or, oh man, I messed up, but I'm going to get back on it this month, So that could be really fun. Go down into the comments for sure and let us know if you want to, help us be accountable to each other. So I did start listing regularly again on January 3rd. I have had some stuff happening in my personal life, which I'm not going to get into right now. But as a result of that, the last maybe 2 weeks, I needed to put more of my focus, time, and attention in some other places. And so the listings took a dip, but I at least got some out. I'm going to try really hard not to have any weeks that are zero, okay? My goal was to have 20 to 30 designs going out every week. That didn't quite happen this month. I wound up this month with more like 50 in total. So I'll take that. That's doing all right. And I'm trying to pick up the ball this week and make sure, before I got on here to videotape this video, I'm like, okay, Shawna, I designed last night while I was watching the Super Bowl, and I tried to get at least one of those listings listed, mocked up, and listed and out before I started this video. And as soon as I'm done videoing, I'm going to go back and list up another one, which, by the way, is the most boring part. I love designing, but the listing part and the mocking up part is absolutely a snooze fest. I wonder what your favorite part of the process is. But we just got to do what we've got to do. So my goal this year is to get my shop back to a place where it's making $160,000 of profit for the year again. So to make up that gap. So, and already I'm already $1,700 behind, or $1,800 really behind, because I went from $5,000 down to $3,200 profit. But that was to be expected. As I shared with you, I didn't fill my shop with the January and February stuff. And so I'm actually looking at my general niche calendar that I created, and I'm looking at it and going, okay, well, this month I'm supposed to be listing these things. And so I expect February to be just as So hopefully by March, we'll see me catching back up to at least where I was. And then I'm hoping in April, May, I'll be going ahead, starting to show improvement from last year. So it's just something that I gotta grease those wheels again and get it going. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you found it inspirational. I hope you feel like you can do this thing. And to answer the question from the title, it is so worth it. My God, it is worth it. Etsy is worth it. If you had any doubt in your mind whether or not it was worth it, I swear to you it is. I just gave you such an honest collection of details so that you could understand why my shop declined. It is very easy to blame something beyond our control, to blame something else instead of recognizing, oh, wait a second, look at my patterns of behavior. This is what led here. So always be willing to look at the pattern of behavior before trying to blame some outside force. All right, I hope you loved this video. Let's go learn how to make trendy designs that add value to the market in this video here, because it is the money-making skill. Is 100% the money-making skill. All right, I'll see you over there.